Hello, welcome to the CDO Magazine interview series. My name is Cory Carlson, and I'm a leadership coach and author and speaker, and partnering with CDO Magazine for this interview series. Today, I have the pleasure of talking with Matt King. He is the Chief Security and Data Officer with Belcan. So thank you very much, Matt, for joining.
Corey, thanks for having me.
In kind of my experience with delegation, if you delegate just the what or the how, they may do it once or twice, but if you delegate the why, it's important. They may do it forever, and
100%.
you'll see. How do you communicate the why of doing a particular task, helping get their buy-in other than boss said to do it, so go do it?
I always ensure that my staff understands the whys of a situation. And from a security perspective, it's somewhat easy as we talk through things, right? So um, when you talk about the engineering industry and the work that we do, and especially when you look at the defense work that we do, right? It's a matter of national security to ensure that we are securing our environment, protecting our customers' information. So I like to put personal elements in front of the whys so it's not simply a business decision, because some people, when you tell them they should do this because it helps to grow the business or something of that nature, there may not be some personal relevance to them associated with that, right? And
Hmm.
if you engage personal relevance to every why, there's much better buy-in with the situation in terms of what needs to be delivered and things of that nature. So again, going back to the security concept and why do we need to be secure? Well, if this information leaks out and a nation state acquires our technology, they can use it against our nation, and then there's a threat of loss of life for the United States. So that's sort of how I phrase those sorts of things. When I previously worked in healthcare, it was a very similar situation for my team, right? Protecting the information of personal health information could lead to the loss of lives if we're not doing things appropriately. So trying to put that personal element into everything that we described.
And how does that why, I guess, feel customized every time you do it to the employee, to the point it's not like, oh, here it goes again. Matt's giving the let's keep the information safe speech.
Yeah. So I do it to the greater team just for the general sense of why do
Hmm.
we do what we do in the frame of our business, right? In the frame of Belcan and engineering services. And that's where I really talk about sort of protecting the defense related work, but also even from a commercial side, the aerospace industry, and the fact that we're helping develop parts for planes for commercial use. If that data gets leaked, let's take stress data, for example, that data can be used against the United States for personal commercial airlines to compromise those. And that's a big problem because it can lead to death. But for individual particular tasks, um, I'm fortunate to have a very curious organization, both on the data and the security side. So there's a lot of asking the why for one, but when we talk about the concept of just efficiency and improvement and enabling them to learn more things, freeing them their time up to be able to do things and learn things that they prefer to do, that's another area that I like to focus my energy on from a why perspective of this will give you more time to focus your energy on the things that you want to do versus just the need to do.
Oh, that's good. I'll talk with clients about kind of dollar per hour idea of, whatever you get paid, you're doing your task at that level. If anything below that, should you delegate it? Should you do it differently? And then it also will fall into the line of, what are you passionate about versus proficiency, and thinking that through. And it usually requires a time audit of or activity audit. What are you working on? Do you like it? Are you uniquely good at it? And then if not, let's get it to another team member. It sounds like, Matt, you do something similar, maybe not using some of that same, methodology, but how do you help activate your team to really kind of scrub the activities they're doing, making sure they're doing what they like? And, it's still got to get done. the work still has to get done. So how do you see that they are aligned with what they want to do as well as getting it done?
Yeah, there's a fine balance there because to your point, there's some things that we have to get done. I'd love to be able to enable every team member to state that you could do, whatever you want within the organization. But the way that I like to frame it is you're going to get more opportunity to do the things that you want if you're doing your best at what's assigned to you, right? So
Mhm.
you do this one task that we need to do the best that you can, and you demonstrate efficiency and effectiveness and quality with your work, and you're developing trust within the organization, it's going to be able to extend you out to do bigger and better things and to do more of the things that you want to do within the organization. Certainly within the security frame, there's a lot of different things that they could be doing. And there are a lot of opinionated people within the organization in terms of what they want to be doing. But you have to balance that with where their skill sets are and what they do best. In some cases, you'll find people that want to do something that they're really not good at. They like it, they've got some passion, but if you and there's a couple different ways to handle that. One is just upskilling, training, things of that nature. But um, if they're stronger at another capability, and just excel at that capability, it comes down to other ways of rewarding them for focusing their energy on that work instead, right? Just to make sure that you've got the most efficient and effective team holistically. So
You mentioned earlier psychological safety. You mentioned your team's very curious. How have you created as a leader that culture of innovation, where we just continue to grow? And yeah, they may fail some, but it's kind of like that's part of the process. What have you done as a leader to help foster that? Maybe compared to what other leaders done, where it stunted growth.
Well, for me, I think it starts with vulnerability, Cory. So you've got to be a little bit vulnerable to your staff and share some things with them on a personal level, mistakes that you've made, experiences that you've had with other leaders or similar situations, just to describe that psychological safety. Simply stating psychological safety, some people are hesitant still to open up. But I've
Hmm.
found if I'm asking specific questions, or I'll put little hints out there of things that I'm looking for them to share that I know, like I'll ask somebody in particular a pointed question that I know that they've got knowledge of, just to encourage other people speaking. It shouldn't be the leader speaking the entire time when you're in group settings, particularly with an innovation type activity, right? It needs to be everybody providing their own aspects. You may ask something about their personal life that may create a thought that becomes an innovative approach to what you're doing, right? But asking some questions around how they've dealt with something similar in their personal life, but really understanding and knowing people on your staff, to be able to ask those pointed questions is really key. So it's another situation where it all comes back to relationships and knowing each other.
And the room gets quiet, you can kind of lean on someone because you know them or you know their skill set to help
Yeah,
kind of spark some thoughts and discussion.
right.
Another area for curiosity is usually when people take PTO or they go out of the office. For you as a leader, are you encouraging your team to get out of the office to take PTO and maybe spark some of those new ideas?
Yes, I do. I think you'll find that my leadership team will say that uh, I'm family first, and that whatever time that they need, unless it's some extreme situation we're dealing with, that I almost always allow them to take what they need to do to get done, even if it's a spur of the moment thing, right? Because we all have personal situations that come about where you something unexpected happened, and you just need a day to be able to take care of it. It's very important for people to feel comfortable and know that they have that flexibility to be able to do their best when they are at work. And of course, I do expect them to do their best when they're here, But if they're already distracted from some other situation that's happening, or they're just overstressed or something of that nature, it's very important for them to get that separation, that downtime, and that rest to be able to recoup and to come back strong.
Well, based off this interview, if I was in the marketplace, I'd come on and work for you. I like your answers, and I do know they're to be true because we've met outside of this conversation. Is your retention higher? I mean, do you know that this method has worked?
I've got a really strong retention. I've had people leave and come back because the grass isn't always greener. Um, I've had some really positive comments from people that work for me, and that's actually something that's probably what I'm most proud of in my career.
Mhm.
Actually, is growing those people and knowing that they want to work for me, and knowing that they feel comfortable speaking openly with me about situations. Because I feel that's the reason why we've achieved so much as an organization, as a team, is because we've been open and transparent and honest with each other about everything.
Yeah, that's pretty darn powerful because it just helps people reach higher levels when they feel it back to psychological safety, where they just feel they're in a safe place and secure and able to be more courageous and bold, knowing that they come from kind of that safe harbor. So it's pretty powerful. Matt, anything you want to share as we start to wrap up this interview, just on Belcan, or maybe some ideas you want to share in this podcast discussion before we're done?
I think the biggest thing I want to share is, as a leader, it's very critical to lead by example.
Mm.
If you're not doing the things that you are asking of your people, and you're not being both the sword and the shield for them, then you're not going to get as much backing as what you would otherwise. Um, So as you're growing in your career journey, as people are growing up in leadership, you need to stand in front of the firing squad for them, so to speak, right from the business. If things are going wrong, it's your fault. If things are going right, it's because your team did it. And emulating that attitude is key to achievement in my mind, and for the success of the greater organization, because it helps the other people, all the people that report to you, feel wanted and needed. And that's critical for me in terms of ensuring that I lead in that manner. And I think it's critical for everybody else to do it that way too, if they really want to have a strong team. Um, I mentioned Belcan is an engineering services organization, and one of our key principles is trust, and that's really trust with our customers. But if you don't have trust internally with your staff too, it's difficult to grow and to do all the right things and to retain, to your point, retain your talent within the organization. Because if they can't see your vision, if you're not doing the things to be that sword and the shield for them, then they're going to want to find some place where they're feeling more supported and trusted holistically. That in people first is another one of our principles within the organization, and that really comes down to developing your people and your organization. So um, very strong foundational purpose and principles from the organization that really emulate a lot of my thoughts around leadership holistically. So
Hmm. Have you always been a leader, lead by example, or was there kind of a turning point where you're like, I'm drawing a line in the sand. This is how I need to lead from now on because the old way didn't work.
I have always been a lead by example leader. It's just been something ingrained in me. And I'm trying to put a finger on what that came from originally. Um, and I really can't think of where I first started to lead by example.
Yep. Just knowing it was the right thing to do and you continue to
I
get good
guess.
results. So why stop?
Right.
Oh, great. Well, thank you, Matt, very much for joining me today. Enjoyed the conversation. And for the listeners, thank you for watching and this far. And please visit cdomagazine.tech for additional interviews. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Cory.